what I was reading just recently about the duties of a person in a human body from birth. I mean, it says in our Vedic scriptures, nonviolence, truthfulness, honesty, desire for the happiness and welfare of all others, and freedom from lust, anger, and greed constitute duties for all members of society. And who could deny if we possessed those qualities and those duties were performed, would it be a better society or a worse society? I mean, we got to analyze it like that.
We generally speak a lot about our rights, but how about our responsibilities? What am I meant to do? What is my duty to perform in society? Welcome to the Breaking Trail podcast. My name is Ruben, and I have with me my friend and teacher, Balakia. And this podcast is where you learn to navigate life's journey through ancient wisdom.
So I guess we better get going on whatever we're going to get going on.
We're going to talk about duties, yeah?
Yeah, so...
That's our duty, to talk about...
It's our duty to talk about duties. And, again, everybody's got their opinions, and now that people are voicing their opinions probably stronger than ever before. And due to the media and the way you can voice your opinion, your opinion can spread far and wide. Mm. And you'll always pick up some followers along the way who have the same opinion.
For sure.
And you'll always have some opposition who don't agree.
Mm.
But it still comes back to the same thing, that it's opinions. Everybody's got an opinion.
Mm.
But opinions don't necessarily mean something's true, even if everybody on planet Earth had an opinion, same opinion on one thing, it still doesn't mean it's true.
No.
So that's why we are always referring to the Vedic scriptures and the authorities of the spiritual teachers, because, this is not some, material opinion formed by likes and dislikes and past experiences and, material desires and whatever. It's not politically motivated. It's not financially involved. It's an absolute truth. And so it is an opinion, but it's the Lord's opinion. So it's the ultimate authoritative opinion. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, makes a statement, he said, and this is my opinion. Yeah. But it's automatically understood that this is the final opinion. And arguing against it is of no value, because you're just arguing against the Supreme Lord. And, if you think you won the argument or you can prove the Lord wrong, and you're wrong. You can't, because, the source of truth is the source. And, whether you believe it or disbelieve it or discount it or whatever, it's still true. So what do you gain by defeating truth? In your mind, you defeat truth. You don't really defeat truth. It's impossible.
Exactly.
But maybe in your mind, you defeat truth.
But
what do you gain from it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And what you gain is like your false ego is winning. I mean, you're more... We spoke about this last week, the false ego and these things. I mean, you're more further away from who you really are and the actual truth. I mean, because you want to be right, I guess.
Yeah, and you're further away from your true well-being and happiness and satisfaction.
Well, that's an even more important point, perhaps.
And so you lose. I mean, in the reality of it, you lose. So that's why a wise person is described in Bhagavad Gita as an intelligent person or a wise person, accepts this absolute truth and tries to conform their life or live their life in harmony with that truth. You know? And it may not be possible, especially in beginning stages to, live according to that,
fully
or even to some partial degree. But that's the truth, and that's where I need to be. This is where I need to go, and I need to make the proper changes so that becomes true in my life. My life is a reflection of that truth.
But is that also like, is patience for yourself a part of this? Because some people speak about that, like you have to be tolerant to yourself, patient to yourself. Is that a part of this, to be able to like accept where you are right now and just...
Well, yeah, accept where you are, but don't be okay with where you are. There's two things: accepting the truth that I'm at this level or this consciousness, or, I'm attached in this way or encumbered by these obstacles, physical or mental or whatever. That's accepting that, but that's not saying that it's okay. That's good enough. I'm not trying to improve on that.
I see.
So that's self-defeating. I mean, you don't gain anything by that, like we said before. If a person's illiterate, and they have to admit, yeah, I'm illiterate, but on a material level. But does that mean you're not supposed to gain some knowledge? You're not supposed to, become non-illiterate, become more and more literate?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious that acceptance is one part, but it doesn't mean we're supposed to just settle into that and use that as a justification for just not doing anything.
Exactly. And
try to bring other people down to our level. And that's many times what's going on.
Well, exactly, because it makes you feel better. You feel like, I'm okay because everyone else does this.
Yeah. You should come down to my level.
Yeah.
In fact, I just read maybe we talked about this last week, I don't remember. But in one of the states in America, Virginia, did we talk about that? They're not going to teach higher mathematics?
No, you didn't say that.
Yeah. So in the school system in Virginia, they've just decided, passed a law, that in the grades of between grade 6 and grade 10, they're not going to introduce any higher mathematics. Like algebra and trigonometry and geometry and whatever, calculus and so on. And the reasoning behind it is because, there's many people that can't absorb this. It's more advanced than they're able to deal with. So they're not going to allow anybody to have it. You see, everybody's got to stay in this basic bottom line level.
Because otherwise someone would feel bad.
It's discrimination.
Of course.
It's coming back to this whole discrimination subject. It's discriminating to teach higher mathematics if everybody is not ready for that. Wow. So only in the last 2 years, grade 10 through 12, can you teach it. Whereas before it used to be, they started introducing it early on, so people could gradually, evolve, mathematically speaking.
Yeah.
And there's also in this same state, I think this is in New York, that there has been for, long time, certain high schools where more gifted students, we'll say, or people who are able to learn more and faster and easily, they teach higher subject matter in these high schools. But you have to take an entrance exam to qualify to go to that school.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that's discriminating. You have to remove the entrance exam and just let everybody go there.
What?
Yeah, I mean, this is what they're doing in the name of equality.
But that's exactly, I mean, if you're identifying that, like, I mean, again, it's back to false identifying as your body or your knowledge or your, that's the root of like.
Yeah. I mean, they don't want you to exercise your full ability because then you're going to be above somebody else
Yeah.
And therefore, they're going to feel bad, or they're going to feel like, well, we got division here. They're the smart guys and I'm not.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, you're not better than anyone else if you're good at mathematics, or if you're bad at mathematics, or if you're whatever you're working with. It's not better. It's just different, and that's okay.
It's just,
we all have different.
You've got different abilities than they do.
Obviously, yeah.
It's just like cancel all qualifying exams for whatever you want. Whether it's athletics or academic or whatever.
Wow.
I mean, it's gone, more, it's becoming more and more absurd. So I guess the idea was you want to bring everybody down to the lowest common denominator, and then nobody can feel proud. But it's not like feeling proud. It's just like I can do more, and I want to do more, and maybe I can offer more to society on a material level in this way or that way. If I have a higher education, then I have more to give. Like, you can't go to medical school because everybody can't pass the entrance exam, so we can't have any doctors, or whatever. I mean, it's becoming more and more absurd.
But the idea is that, like, coming back to the duties in society, like that road will not lead in a good direction.
No. And if you use the Vedic system, which we do, as the ultimate example of the best system of society, because in the Vedas there's a whole societal, plan and program outlined very clearly. There was divisions of society. There was the Brahmins. It's called the varnashram system. The varnas are the social positions in society. So there was the varnas. There was the Brahmins, and they were the priestly class. In other words, they were the intellectuals, and they studied the scriptures, and they, attained the knowledge, and they had clear vision of how things should be according to the Vedic, direction, etc. See, so they were the Brahmins, the educated, not educated, but, advanced understanding of life class, So they were like the heads of society, like on our body. If you take society as a body, we have a body, physical body. And where does all the information and guidance and everything come from on our body? The head. That's what directs the other parts of the body. So the Brahmins were like the heads of society. And then the next classification was the Kshatriyas. And they were the warrior class, the administrators, that now would be called the politicians, the protectors of society. So they were the arms of society. They did the work. So the Brahmins guided the Kshatriyas. See, and the Kshatriyas were always, seeking advice from the Brahmins. The Brahmins were always giving advice to the Kshatriyas.
Right.
And therefore, when they administered with their arms, so to speak, of society, it was correct.
With correct intelligence and correct direction, and with
and they accepted
guidance.
that position, And then the next classification were the Vaishyas, and they were like the providers for society. They were the merchants and the farmers and the bankers, and so they provided for society, And then there was the Sudras, or the servant class, and they were the ones who served or helped. They were involved in, taking care of the duties of the other classes, the worker class.
And Vaishyas were like the stomach? Is that something?
Yeah, the trunk or the stomach, the trunk of the body.
Right.
And then the Sudras were like the legs. They did the leg work.
Supporting.
And a person was in one of these categories or another category, not because of birth. See, now it's become degraded, so they call it the caste system. And
exactly.
In India, now for some long years, it's been, you're a Brahmin because you're born in a Brahmin family. It's not about qualification, it's about birth. And that's when the whole thing became null and void, basically. It just became a hierarchical, judgmental, we're better than you, we're Brahmins, and you're Vaishyas, or you're Sudras, and we're the upper class and you're the lower class.
Well, isn't that what the Englishmen also introduced? I mean, that's what they, that's completely...
the royalty and whatever.
Ruined society.
But that's not how it was in the original Vedic system. So it was according to qualification. If you're qualified to be a Brahmin, then you were a Brahmin. If you were born in a Brahmin family but did not have those qualifications, you were known as a Brahma Bandhu, the son of a Brahmin. But your function in society was more maybe that of a Vaishya or a Sudra. You see? And so according to your propensities and abilities, you had your position in society.
And that wasn't looked down on? Like...
No, it was like that's how it was. Because these classifications were based on the influence of the modes of nature. We've talked about the modes of nature. Yep. So Brahmins were in the mode of goodness. See, that was the influence upon them. And the Kshatriyas were in the mode of passion. So that was their influence. And the Vaishyas were in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance. So that was their influence. And the Sudras were in the mode of ignorance. So therefore, everybody was acting according to their propensities. And it worked. It worked very well. You know, Krishna's system, God's system for society. But of course, like I say, you know, as always, things become degraded, and now it's lost its impact or its good qualities, and just become another discriminating status,
team spirit
system.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, what I was reading just recently about the duties of a person in a human body from birth. I mean, it says in our Vedic scriptures, nonviolence, truthfulness, honesty, desire for the happiness and welfare of all others, and freedom from lust, anger, and greed constitute duties for all members of society. And again, this is Vedic truth. This is not opinions. We have to really make that clear, because, you know, people always, oh, that's your opinion, but I don't think like that. But this is not my opinion, you know. But if you look at these, we'll look at them just one by one. And who could deny if we possessed those qualities and those duties were performed, would it be a better society or a worse society? I mean, we got to analyze it like that, you know. So nonviolence, you know, as we've spoken before, Lord Buddha's main message was nonviolence.
Exactly.
You know, ahimsa, nonviolence, you know. And when we say nonviolence, that means unnecessary violence. Sometimes violence is necessary. I mean, unfortunately, it's the material world, and things are not perfect. So sometimes it's required. But nonviolence meaning non-necessary violence.
And I think it's quite surprising to people. I mean, the idea of, because I think generally the idea of people who want to or attempt to have a spiritual life is like complete, you know, no violence, nothing. I mean, the idea that violence may be necessary is really...
Well, the Vedas also clarify that. You know, they say there are aggressors, and it lists different aggressors, and when, you know, that is the situation, then violence is necessary. And look at the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, it was, you know, spoken by the Supreme Lord himself just prior to, you know, a big battle. But it was a battle that was necessary. And it was, the avoidance was attempted in every way, from many different angles of diplomacy and compromise and so on. And, the opposing party would have none of it. There was no agreement at all. No, we will not compromise. We won't give you anything, whatever. So it was no alternative in that case. But nonviolence, anyway. See, so nonviolence, truthfulness. See, who can say truthfulness is not a good thing? Speak the truth, live the truth, and that's how we should be. But now, again, from every angle, there's non-truth, and people's agendas create what is true and what is not. And there's even gurus that are supposedly teaching from the Vedas that will purposely leave out parts of the teaching. They edit the Vedas, let's say, because they don't want to disturb their followers, or they don't want to look in the eyes of the followers, like someone is too hard or too forceful or too. So they just say what people want to hear, So that's not truth. That's not truthfulness. See? It's like the doctor who analyzes you with cancer. He knows you got cancer, and he knows, it's very serious, and he comes in, oh, you're all right. You got a small little problem, but don't worry about it. There's not much going on there, In other words, tell me the truth. What's the real story here? Maybe the truth is he knows I'm going to die in 6 months.
Well, and then you can do something about it if you know.
Then you can prepare and do what you can do. Then. But he's saying, oh, we can cure it. Don't worry. Just take this chemo or whatever his, suggestion is, and you'll be fine. And it happened to a friend of ours, she was diagnosed with leukemia. This was many years ago. She was 25. And, the doctor, she went to the hospital and she was feeling bad. She was always, we were with her all the time. And she was always just feeling a little bit off, not too much energy. And so, anyway, finally she got diagnosed with leukemia. But the doctor said, but don't worry, we'll, give you this treatment. Just come in. We're going to put you in intensive care and take care of it. And then, just a short time, we'll have you bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She died 3 weeks later.
Oh.
But the point is, they didn't tell her the truth. She goes in there bright-eyed, okay, good, and so anyway, she could have had prepared. She could have had time to prepare, and leave the world in a very different way. But this is the point. Truthfulness is very necessary, for us to speak the truth. That's why when, we speak, we don't beat around the bush and, just make it, like, oh, well, I think they want to hear this, so we'll talk about that. But we need to know the truth. Like, we need to know we're spirit souls. We don't need to be, lied to and told we're the body and then get involved in all that. And we need to be told that happiness can only be found when the soul, is experiencing love for God. That's the truth. So why say you can be happy if you get a lot of money and you get a good job, or you gain some position in society or whatever? Because it's not true.
But yeah.
That's what people want to hear, but that's not what they need to hear.
Exactly. But is there a point where you can say too much truth? I mean, where it's like, I mean, you see someone who they don't look as, at their best in the day, and you say, damn, you look ugly. Your hair looks terrible today.
Well, we're not talking about that kind of.
No, okay. So let's take it more. But like, I mean, you could maybe say some spiritual truths that are perhaps too deep for someone they're not ready to hear. that?
Well, you got to adjust it to the audience, and on these public broadcasts, we don't know who the audience is. Really, it could be anybody, but we have to bring in enough truth that somebody can find the truth if they're looking for it.
Yeah.
And if we never bring it up, then that person that's looking might go somewhere else.
They will keep looking
because
they don't find it.
They don't find it here, so let's go somewhere else. So if you look at all the great teachers, that have come into this world to help mankind, they basically spoke really difficult truth for some people, and it wasn't accepted by everybody.
No.
Look at Lord Jesus Christ. I mean, his message wasn't too well accepted.
And he had 13 disciples. 13 followers.
Or 12.
12, yeah.
And one betrayed him, so really he had 11.
Yeah, well.
Out of all those multitudes he spoke to, and, in the end, look what happened. They had said, we got to get rid of him because he's, disturbing our hierarchy here, our whole position. But anyway, he still spoke the truth. This is the point.
Yeah.
So for the few people that are ready to hear, they need to have a place to hear the truth. But whether it's in everyday dealings as a merchant or a friend or whoever you are and wherever you are, truthfulness is good. You're an honest person, people can trust you. Like in Bhagavad Gita, the king that was after the Battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhisthira, was famous actually throughout the universe as a person who never spoke a lie. They knew if Yudhisthira said it, it was true. No matter what he said, he had that reputation. He would not tell a lie, And so, truthfulness,
and
honest.
And just like a short, truthfulness also means, I just thought about this when you said Yudhisthira, like following up on what you say. Like he was a prime example of that. Like if he said something, he did it. Like
Yeah. He wasn't just a mouthpiece, he was an example.
Yeah, wow.
And in the Vedic system, a teacher by example is called an acharya. That what that word means, teacher by example. He doesn't just speak the truth and do something else. He teaches by his life's example.
Yeah.
So if you look at the life of all the great acharyas, you can see they were truth personified. So we got so far nonviolence, truthfulness, honesty. Be honest in whatever dealings you may have or whatever. Again, people can trust you, and it's how you're supposed to be. Like if you're a conniving, slithering, person, you have a certain feeling inside too. I mean, it's not a real bright feeling. You're just cheating people.
It's like a voice inside of you, something there saying that no.
You can't feel really good if you're always cheating people. But what happens is when people do it and do it and do it, it becomes normal. And then they don't even hear any kind of conscious or any kind of voice that says, don't do this. I mean, it's like they don't hear anything.
Exactly.
And so that's called a hardened heart, or, if you want to talk about it as a criminal, a hardened criminal. They don't even blink about being dishonest. In fact, they can't even be honest.
Exactly.
It's like they can't be honest. They're always trying to slither around and work around and, for their own agenda, whatever it is, cheat people in so many ways.
But how does it become like that? Or how do you break free from that if you're in that just maybe short, tangent? But I'm just thinking, that's...
Well, we're going to probably have to get to that.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to that afterwards.
What to do about it if we're in one or all of these, categories that we shouldn't be in. We are violent. We're not truthful. We're not honest. And the next one is desire for the happiness and welfare of all others. See, an actual desire for the happiness and welfare of all others. And that means both material welfare and spiritual welfare. See, happiness and welfare. You want people to be happy materially, there's no place in a, person's life who's really truthful and honest and correct that he enjoys seeing people suffer.
Yeah.
Remember our story last week of Narada and Magrari the hunter.
Exactly.
And the hunter was so hardened that his joy in hunting wasn't, getting the animal for the skin or meat or whatever. His main pleasure was seeing the animal suffer.
Exactly.
That's where he was at. So, but it changed. This was the story that was so inspiring last week, is that he changed.
Yeah.
So a desire for the happiness and welfare of all others, in all species of life, not just humans.
And that connects to nonviolence, by the way, which was a thing that I wanted to mention about nonviolence. That it's not just don't kill, but it's also, don't kill also means don't kill not just humans, but animals.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
So that's a quality. And freedom from lust, anger, and greed. See, freedom from lust, anger, and greed. Because if there's lust, anger, and greed controlling our lives, and lust is the biggest controller, and from lust comes anger and the accompanying greed. So if we're under the control of lust, which is basically under the control of the mode of passion, then we can't fulfill these other ones. You can't be nonviolent if you're controlled by lust. See, that's why there's so much violence in families, because unfortunately, so many families are based on lust. And it goes in looking sweet and filled with passion and whatever. But that turns to anger. And then there's the violence. Domestic violence is the number one crime in the world. I didn't know if you know that, but yeah. And of course, I don't know the percent, but 90% or plus goes unreported. I mean, it's
of course.
But it's happening, on bigger or smaller scales. And let's say almost every home, many, many homes, and so there's violence in the home, and then the children are subjected to violence. And so they come out traumatized, and, living in a war zone is never beneficial.
And then they carry that on to the next generation.
And they carry it on, and they just become the same, and, divorces come out of it, and then everything. But it all goes back to lust is the problem. Lust is the controller that brings about the anger and, the greed. It's mine. I want it for me, and I get it, and I'll keep it. I won't share it. I won't give it to anybody.
But we've let it come to that point. I mean, we've consciously, I don't know, maybe not, but it seems like we have. I mean, we're starting our relationships in that way. It's about lust. It's about finding, the person that you can have the most amazing sexual experiences with, for example. I mean, and the looks and the attraction and the passion.
That's because it's, lust and control. It's passion and control. And that's the norm. That's how we were taught. But again, in the Vedic system, it wasn't like that. And that's why they were very, strict controls over male and female contact and relationships, and how the relationship, if it was moving toward marriage, if that was, the focus, was very regulated to keep lust to a minimum, so you can make an intelligent decision. Is this person, a good person for me because of their spiritual interest and because of our personalities and compatibilities? And, will this person make a good partner? There's a lot of people that are good people, but they don't work well together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't mean because two people can't get along that they're bad people necessarily. It's just that they don't work together very well.
Oh, no, and I just remember when I was getting married to Lynn, and you told us, as long as you're happy together, and when you're not like if you don't have fun together, when the fun stops, the problems begin. You said,
yeah. If it's based on lust, the fun is short-lived.
Yeah.
Because you get tired of that fun and you want some fresh fun, some new fun.
Some new.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of our great acharya spiritual masters, 5 spiritual masters back in our lineage, he says, when you first meet this woman, she looks like a whole ocean of pleasure. But after you've rounded her shores a few times, that ocean is reduced to a small puddle. I mean, that's reality of lust. A whole ocean of pleasure becomes a small mud puddle.
Wow, it's like the illusion. I mean, you think that it's going to really satisfy you, and you go all in for it because that's what you know, and then and so Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita that lust is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, clarifies lust as the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. He said it's born of contact with the mode of passion, and later turns into wrath. So from lust comes anger. Right.
And it's the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. So if you want to know what is the real enemy, it's lust. But now, as you mentioned, it's promoted. I mean, that's like the goal. Yeah. Come on, baby, light my fire. I mean, this is what we're thinking is the best. The more lust, the better.
Yeah.
But out of that comes the greater anger. The more the lust, the more the anger, the more the wrath. And it just eats us up from the inside. It eats us up from the outside. And it causes no good. And again, from that comes greed. So when you're greedy, that's a whole dark consciousness as well. I'm not giving anything. I'm keeping it all for me. And you just become, in America, I don't know if you had it in Sweden when you grew up, but the Christmas story of Scrooge.
Yeah.
Scrooge, he was just holding everything for himself. He wouldn't give anything to anybody. And he was just a miserable creature.
Uncle Scrooge. I'm just going to assume what his name is in Swedish. Exactly. In Swedish, it's called Farbror Joakim.
Yeah.
If any Swede is listening to this.
Well, they probably are.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called in Norwegian, so I'm not going to try that even.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, it wasn't a bright life that he had. Or like Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think everyone can relate to Gollum.
Lived in his little dark cave and my precious, I mean, he was just not a happy guy.
No.
So greed it's all just part of the same scenario, really. Lust, anger, greed, they're just like 3 peas in a pod. They always are found together.
I just had to say this because a friend just told me that he has come to our meditation classes now, and he said, like, so after I heard, your spirit soul, you're not your body, I finally understand like Lord of the Rings, he said. Because Sauron, he left his body, but he still exists, the evil guy. The spirit, Sauron, the person, like the spirit soul still existed somewhere, but he didn't have a body. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a ghost or something. So he said, I finally understood. Like, I just had to.
Deep philosophy to understand Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
What's the takeaway? I understand the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, well, if nothing else, then I at least understand Lord of the Rings.
Well, everything is good. Whatever you understand, you do.
Yeah.
Many ways to apply these truths.
Yeah. Yes, you were saying honesty. So
all of these that we just have been discussing constitute the duties for all members of society. Again, in our Vedic scriptures, one place in particular is a nectar of devotion, but it describes that when a person takes a human birth, automatically they have duties. As a human being, they have duties. And these are universal duties. This is not like, because mom told me this and I got to, sweep the floor or wash the dishes or whatever. These are universal duties for the soul who takes birth in a human form.
But who makes these duties? Or could you just explain where does these duties come from, or what's the
from God? These are universal. Where does the universe come from? There's laws of nature. There's laws of the universe, and so the laws of the universe are such that when the soul reaches a human form, he has a great responsibility. In the dog body, they don't have those duties. I mean, look in society. A dog is not subject to the traffic laws. A dog can run a red light any day, every day, and nobody's going to arrest that dog for running a red light.
Right.
He can cross the street at any place. He can piss on the sidewalk. He can shit on the sidewalk. He can do whatever he wants. But he's not responsible. He's just a dog. But if a human does that, he runs the red light. He goes up a one-way street the wrong way. He does whatever he does that wouldn't have any problem for the dog. He does have a problem because you're a human. You have a responsibility now as a human to not do those things. You know better. You have intelligence. There's a thing that governs your actions.
Right.
So if you take that to a universal scale, this is just society's laws, civil laws. But if you take that to a universal scale, then when you take birth as a human, you have certain duties. And you have duties to society. See, we're all part of our societies, right? I mean, humans have the societies that are, basically causing the most problems. But anyway, this is where society reaches a higher level, And so we have duties to take care of each other. I mean, everything I do affects other people as well, So if I'm really, desiring the happiness and well-being of all other members of society, then, by the way, the members of society includes the lower forms of life, not just humans,
right?
But the animals and the plants and so on. They're people too, and they have just as much right to their positions in society as we do. So if we really care for the happiness and well-being of others, then if we have these qualities of nonviolence and truthful and honesty, and we're not controlled by lust and anger and greed, we're a good member of society. We're actually going to help society come to a very high level of peace and tranquility and harmony among each others. And this transcends all the problems we have now. Like this solves the racial problems, for instance, the gender problems,
exactly,
the nationalism problems, and all the things that people are fighting over and protesting and, demanding that you think like this and do like that and so on. This transcends all that. This takes society above that,
Yeah.
And this is the real solution. Passing another law doesn't really solve the problem.
That's. I'm sorry, I closed the window because there was so much noise outside. But that's exactly, if you don't have, I think we spoke about this before, like if you don't have internal control, you need the external control.
Yeah, and so that's what we got. We got more and more external control because we've just lived a lifestyle that destroys internal control.
Yeah.
And so, so what do? We have more police force, or we have, bigger armies, or we have, whatever external control measures we need. We pass stricter laws, or, it's funny that we pass stricter laws in one area and take away, strict laws in other areas to make people looser in their conduct, and therefore it destroys their internal control.
It's very true.
It's based on ignorance. People have no idea what is good and what is bad for humanity. So we make stricter laws. You can't say this word, okay, because this is offensive. You can't, even think like this. Now it's you can't think like this.
No.
Because this is offensive to a certain group of people. See, but yet we remove the laws that would keep people under, the control. They would make it so we could control the lust, the anger, the greed. That we would actually have a stronger internal compass.
That it makes it harder for us to,
Yeah, truthfulness and honesty and nonviolence and so on. So it's based on ignorance. It's based on opinions. Again, agendas. People have these agendas, and we're pushing this agenda through. And they push it, through society in many different ways. And just one small way is in the courts and in the lawmaking bodies, but they push it through with public opinion and, getting people on our side, and protest and, loud voices through all the social media and the news and so on and so on to get what they want. And once they get that, they want something more to go further into their realm of, agenda, whatever it is. But it's not based on any kind of truth. It's just based on emotions and sentiments and opinions and, lust controlling all of that, and intelligence controlled by lust. And who can say there's not so much anger now?
Yeah.
So much anger. Peaceful protests are just a dream. It stays peaceful for the first 5 minutes, and then it just turns into rocks and Molotov cocktails and, bulletproof vests and tear gas and water cannons and, flash bombs. And you read it on the news every day.
Where?
And not just America, but every country. I mean, excuse me, whether it's one country, another country. And it's a little bit different cause for this one, a little bit different cause for this one, but it's the same thing. It's the same root cause, And so quarrel, chaos, and confusion is just rampant because people aren't fulfilling their duties. And this is for all members of society. See, so if you go back to the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra category.
Yeah.
But of course, in the Vedic system, that was the mainstay of society. But there was a lot of people outside in society that were outside those four divisions. That didn't encompass everybody. There were other people also. And so that's why it says for all members of society, not just those four categories, but all members of society. Whether you're way over here in this little, situation or whatever, all members of society, if they will uphold their duties that come with being a human, see, of nonviolence, truthfulness, honesty, caring for the well-being and happiness of other living entities, and free of lust, anger, and greed, you're going to have a harmonious society that's like beyond dreams.
And there's a quote from, I think this is Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well, and it adds something to our discussion, and I just thought I'd read it, because a question maybe it would ask, like, with how? Like, how do I do that? And then this quote says, it is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words.
There you go. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
But what is necessary is you got to have a society where this is the general rule. In other words, it can't just be one person. I mean, one person can implement all this, yes. But one person doing his duty and 99.9% of the rest of the population not doing their duty is not going to bring about the desired result. So as everything, it all got to work from the top down. So again, if we read our Vedic history, you can see there was a saintly king that ruled the whole planet. This is 5,000 years ago and prior. From 5,000 years ago to the present, this whole system gradually deteriorated and was lost. See? But from 5,000 and prior, there was one king, saintly king. Planet Earth was the kingdom. Yeah, there was little kings here and there that had their little provinces and so on, but they were all under the rule of the one king, see? And they accepted the one king as the authority, you see? And so if they were inimical kings, then, they had to be, dealt with according to whatever the situation was. And therefore, it was a super harmonious situation. But the Brahmins guided the king. See, he didn't stand up there and say, I'm the king.
Exactly.
I'm the big guy. Everybody do what I say, according and including the Brahmins. He was subject to the will of the Brahmins. He paid his respects. He was, the servant of the Brahmins. And they gave him expert guidance.
Right.
And then he didn't argue and say, no, I'm not going to accept that. That was the different consciousness, He accepted and then he administered it.
Kind of like, again, no false ego, no trying to, I know better than you.
Yeah. I mean, it has no place, really. It didn't have a... And, the Vaishyas, the mercantile class and the bankers and so on, they were the ones who made the money in society, and they paid their taxes, but they voluntarily gave 50% of their earnings to the king. Voluntarily. He didn't have to drag them to court and, make it so, okay, you're going to be put in jail because you didn't pay your taxes. They voluntarily did it, and they knew that, okay, I give 50% of my earnings to the king, to the government, king, but then he gives it back to us. Right. See, he doesn't keep it for himself. He wasn't there building a huge, bank account. He gave it back to the citizens. in the form of welfare provisions and whatever was necessary in society for the good of all society. See, so everybody was serving everybody else, you know, and the laborer class, they had whatever they needed for their sustenance. The king made sure everybody had whatever they needed for their well-being, you know, not that, I'm going to make you rich, but you'll live a comfortable life in your situation. You'll live a comfortable life in your situation. And the whole focus was on spiritual evolution. The whole focus. That was just the nuts and bolts of society. That just kept everything running smoothly. So people weren't all stressed out and in turmoil about all the things that's usually the problems that we know now. And they were peaceful and calm. The whole agenda was to grow spiritually. They had their different activities of spiritual practice to perform according to, again, their consciousness. It was all about the consciousness. Okay, they didn't all do the same things because they were not all on the same level, of spiritual development and spiritual. But okay, you're the worker class, then you have your duties, and you have your spiritual duties. Yeah. And you're the mercantile class. You have your, societal duties, and you have your spiritual duties. And Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Sudras, Kshatriyas and Brahmins, accordingly, and everybody was moving up. Everybody was moving up.
My dad always used to say, he's a funny guy. He says, like, if only I was the dictator, then the world would be perfect. But it's, and you laugh, like it, but it, to some extent, if you could theoretically have a dictator or one person who would actually work for the benefit of others and who would be guided by a supreme authority himself and be the most humble, then that's a perfect system. Well, if he's guided by
that's what it was. It was an autocracy. There were autocrats, but they were spiritual autocrats.
Exactly.
They weren't, just some monarch that wants to control and exploit and make other people suffer. That's the strongest society. You have a saintly person, qualified saintly person at the helm who is guided by, the heads of society, the spiritually elite. And above the Brahmins, there were the sannyasis, the saints, the Vaishnavas, who had more pure vision, spiritual vision and understanding than even the Brahmins. And they, guided the Brahmins.
Yeah.
So, and they were guided by the Supreme Lord. So it all was, coming from the Supreme Lord in this way. And just taking birth in such a society was a guaranteed spiritual upliftment. And people moved up, and next birth, wherever they were, when they, left that body, they took a birth according, and they continued to move up and move up and move up. So evolution on a spiritual level was the norm. And that's how it's supposed to be. So the point is, everyone has these duties, but if you don't perform your duties, then the whole thing breaks down. In a household, if everybody's got their duties and people don't do them, then you got a mess in the household, or in a company,
that's very true.
A big corporation. You got the CEO, and then you got the vice CEO, and then you got down to many different levels. And if everybody doesn't do their duty, then you're going to have some problem.
Yeah.
But if everybody does their duty, you got a smoothly working machine.
Yeah.
But who wants to accept their duties now? See, this is it's like, So we've changed everything according to our desires, and so we've got violence, we've got dishonesty. Where are you going to find the truth anymore? You can't even find the truth. And people could care less about the happiness and welfare of others. If it suits my agenda, yeah, but it's my agenda. And if you're happy serving me, then you can be happy. But if you're not, then we'll get rid of you. And on the story goes.
But and even if you do want the well-being and happiness of others, you may not know how, because you don't know who they are. And you don't know how to really help them in the best way.
Yeah, you're just trying to help their material situation at best.
At best.
At best. And if you don't know how to help somebody, then how are you going to do that? Excuse me. So these are truths that you don't get everywhere. It's very difficult to hear this kind of information, And that's the idea of this podcast. This is not just some mainstream thing. This is an opportunity for the select few who may appreciate it to hear another side of life. So the Bhakti Yoga system of hearing and chanting the mantras and hearing these teachings and, remembering what we've heard, and the different techniques and practices of this system make this more and more a reality, It makes it so we can relate to it more and more and develop a desire to do this, to be like that.
There's one thing hearing about it and knowing that it's like in theory that sounds good, but how is that possible in my life?
You got to just start implementing the process. If you've got a disease, like sportsmen, they get sports injuries all the time. I was just reading about this surfer woman, 34-year-old woman from Brazil, and she holds the record for riding the largest wave, a woman riding the largest wave for a woman. 68.7 feet high or something off the coast of Portugal. But anyway, in 2012, she was trying to ride this biggest wave, and she got wiped out, and it broke her ankle and really damaged her back. She almost drowned, but luckily, they got her out. And I remember when it happened. It was, because, I'm attracted to these kind of stories because I used to be totally involved in that. And anyway, I remember when it happened. But the point is, it took her 5 years of rehabilitation to recover. And it was intense rehabilitation. See, constant working, not for her ankle. Her ankle, of course, healed up quickly, but her back. And so she had expert therapists, and she had to put into work. See, she had to do something. But she did it because she was so determined, and now she's back in the water, and she just broke this record, I don't know, in 2020, I think it was.
Oh, so she was trying it in 2012 and she didn't manage, and then...
No. That she didn't even... But she did break the record after this whole accident.
Wow, yeah.
So to come back and do that, she broke the record in 2018. And then she came back in 2019 and broke her record again.
Oh.
But she said to overcome not only the disability of the injury, but also the fear, the mental fear and struggle and the psychological damage that it had done, and being out there again in the same condition and knowing what could happen. And so, but the point we're making is she had to do something. She had to really dedicate her life to doing what needed to be done to get that result. So in spiritual life, we have to do something. We can sit here and read this over again and again and again, and maybe everybody in the audience agrees. But if we don't start implementing the practice, say, the hearing, the chanting, remembering, the offering, the worshiping, studying this philosophy, associating with people who are also implementing this or are following these teachings and so on, then it's just another cool teaching that we agree with, but our life stays the same. So that's why this podcast is just for, the few people who are interested.
And ready for that change.
Ready for that change, or ready to even entertain, to start some semblance of the journey and the practice. And
well, there was a friend here in Trondheim that I hadn't met him before, but he came to the meditation school and we spoke today a little bit, and he said that he had been, before he came here to our meditation center, he'd been asking for, like, praying for, he was following the impersonalist path, and he'd been praying for guidance, like for something more. He was feeling a bit alone. He didn't have association. He didn't really, and then he was asking for, like, something. He didn't know what it was that he was asking for, but he was, it's the way forward, like the next step. He sincerely wanted that. And then he came here to Trondheim, and he said, like, when he met this teaching, he was like, well, he was like, maybe difficult or different for him, since it was based on the reality of the existence of a supreme person. But really, he had the sincerity to, well, I asked for it, and now this is what I got, And even though it may be hard for me to accept it right now, like this, I know that this is what I asked for, so I have to accept this. I have to go. I have to follow through. You know what I mean? Like, I did ask. I didn't get it. So, no. So it was,
great. So.
I just told him, like, sincerity is that's what it takes.
Yeah. And the Lord knows our heart. He knows what we want. So he knew that this person really wanted what he got, and he arranged it.
Yeah. There's there's another quote that I want to read. Maybe that's I hope this is inspiring and not too depressing in a sense. But I'm gonna read this quote. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, it's from Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, This body, which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death, does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives, must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulation and misery.
True enough. I mean, of course it's true.
Yeah.
And what we have to hopefully achieve is, when we read this sloka, for instance, that you appreciate it.
Well, exactly.
And it gives you some light into the truth. You're just seeing, like, wow, yeah. It's kind of like, wow, I understand now. But that in and of itself takes a while of development, before you can read these truths and appreciate it and go, thank you, and then remember that. See, this is only, trial and tribulation unless I'm using this body properly for the welfare of others and ultimately for service to God. Then all the body is just a hassle. Think about it. Every day you got to deal with it in so many different ways. You got to clean it. You got to feed it. You got to dress it up in clothes. You got to, go here with it and there with it, and
drag it around.
All kinds of difficulties. Just on a daily basis. It's just a hassle. And then it gets old, and it ultimately you give your whole life to it, and it lets you down in the end. It's like I dedicated my whole life to you, and now you're abandoning me.
Yeah, exactly.
You're old, you're decrepit. What? But if you understand what this purpose is, and you understand what your duties are, you take that body and you fulfill your duties. Then it's a wonderful instrument. It's a wonderful instrument. It's the most wonderful instrument. And the mind and the intelligence are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here with our bodies. They brought us here and set us in front of the mics. And voice box and tongue and lips and all is making the noise, but it's all coming from the brain and the intelligence and it's such amazing equipment we have.
Yes, that's true.
But it can save us and it can destroy us.
Well, exactly.
What did we say last week? You give a man enough rope and they'll hang themselves.
I was thinking about something like that. Yeah.
So.
But. Yeah. Step by step. Yeah.
Yeah, step by step.
We can just.
And I hope the viewers can understand. We're not trying to force anything on anybody. You have to do this, and if you don't, you're whatever. No, we're just presenting this. I mean, this is just a presentation of this teaching and these truths, and it's your freedom to choose to embrace it or reject it.
Yeah.
So always keep this in mind on these programs, because people say, "Oh, you're just trying to ram your philosophy down our throats," but that's not what we're doing at all. We're just presenting this as it's been presented to us. I mean, we're just quoting from Scripture.
Then when you come over there, that's what you get. If you, yeah. So.
So maybe we better chant a little bit.
I think it's time for that. I think that's a great.
Yeah.
That's.
This is the next part, the chanting part.
I just had, I normally live in Tromsø, as maybe I mentioned to any of the listeners here before, but so I used to live in Trondheim for these 5 years, and this is where I started meditating and met my good friends, and then I moved to Tromsø, but I just came back I haven't been here for like 9 months because we moved to Tromsø, but so now I just came back, a lot of new people here, and they're just inviting me into their house. They're giving me like their living room to sleep in, and just amazing people, such hospitality. And the point was that yesterday night we just had the most amazing chant. That's such a nice way to really be together with people and do something of such nice value, and really spend quality time together, but also with just, I guess what to say, like have that experience of inner peace, of belonging, of calmness, of fun, we were like 15 people here in the living room where you see me sitting now. Just
Yeah, man.
trying to hold our distance from Corona. But yeah.
And you got this one thing in common,
Well, exactly.
And there's people from many countries right there.
Yeah, all different countries. Romania,
so it's
Hungary.
not like you're all Norwegians.
No.
You got people there from Portugal or Romania or India,
Hungary
or
and
Sweden,
yes.
Hungary. Yeah.
And there are old people, there are young people, there are mothers, there are fathers, there are students, there are all walks of life.
Yeah. But the one common ground is the spiritual ground. And so that's another point we've been making week after week is this is the harmony. This is what we have in common. It's where everyone can come together and leave all that other differences out of the picture completely.
Exactly.
What is our race? What is our country? What is our
doesn't matter.
Gender? What is our education? It doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. What is our commonality? And that's we're all children of God, and we're all trying to reestablish and strengthen that relationship.
And help each other to do so.
Each other to do so. And happiness and welfare of all living entities.
Well, exactly. So we did our duty, and now we're doing our duty.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So the mantra is the same always. Gauranga Hari Bol. That's easy for everybody to remember.
Yep.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
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 Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo,
Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Hare Hare.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Yeah.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. 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 Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Yeah.
Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo, Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Hare.
Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Cheo Ranga, Ranga, Haribo. Oh, Ranga, Ranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Goranga, Haribo. Goranga, Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo.
Haribo,
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo.
Haribo,
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo. Goranga, Haribo.
Goranga, Haribo.
Haribo. Haribol.
Thank you. Haribol. Haribol. Mm-hmm.
As always, Sankirtan's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And easy. And, the same guy that I spoke about that told me about his experience with coming to meditation, he said he's a really quiet guy. He said, he meditates in silence, like he's really mellow and calm and peaceful and quiet. And he says, like, but when I chant, I'm really loud. When he so it's
yeah. Oh, that's another thing we can talk about maybe next week is, remember I told you I have that article on singing?
Yes, we said that we should speak about it. Yeah.
I forgot about that. Oh. But next week we can start there.
Singing and okay. I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember, one thing to take away from this is we have duties, knowingly or unknowing. We have duties, we have responsibilities to the universe, to the Lord, etc. And if you have a duty and you perform it, then you're doing your duty. And if you're not performing it, then you're not doing your duty. So these duties are for the well-being of everybody. It's not to make anybody suffer, it's making so everybody doesn't suffer. And nonviolence, truthfulness, honesty, desire for the happiness and welfare of all others, and freedom from lust, anger, greed constitute duties for all members of society.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect duties. And the result will be there if you follow these duties. So
yeah. Okay, Ruben, I got to go, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. I'll be on the way, but I'm gonna bring my sound equipment. I'm gonna be on the way to Lofoten. I'm gonna go where we didn't go, when we were meant to go. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
With a crew or just
with a group of friends here, just a couple of 5-6 guys actually. It's gonna be a boys trip.
Wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. Gonna go all the way to Tromsø since I bought the car here. Now it's gonna back to Tromsø with the car.
Nice. So, take some pictures.
I will. And some drone films I will take and send you.
Yeah. And Haribo to everybody there.
Yeah. Everyone said, because I said I was going to do this, and they were like, oh, you have to tell him Haribo from us, everyone.
Yeah. So, you guys have a great journey, man. It sounds fun.
I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll
all right.
Next week.
So be careful. It's danger at every step.
Yeah. Always.
Big mountains come with big danger.
And summer tires probably comes with, we'll see how it goes. If we're going to, I don't know. It's hard in Norway. It's so long country and you're driving north and you're like in May. So right here it's full summer, no snow. Oh, not full summer, but to me it's full summer. Like the grass is almost green. That's summer to me. And in Tromsø it's like I have 1 meter of snow outside my house. That's the video I sent this about my house, by the way.
A wise person would do something about those summer tires.
We'll bring the winter tires, but then,
just put them on.
Yeah, but
put them on, man.
Then I have
Don't
to bring the
bring
summer.
them, just put them on.
Bring the summer tires in. Anyway, it's complicated, not important. But yeah.
Anyway,
thank you.
Take care, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
All right. Namaste. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namaste. Thank you so much for tuning in again for the Breaking Trail podcast. So we'll be back with another episode very soon. And if you'd like to, stay on track, get updates from us, we now have an email list that you can sign up for. Check out breakingtrail.life, our website, for more information on that and Remember, stay true to yourself and dare to break trail.